What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, one question that's held over everything Marvel cinema this year, in a year where we've had arguably more Marvel content than ever before, is where is the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer? The hype for this film actually started building last November when they started filming, to the point where we all thought we were getting a trailer in December of 2020 on the heels of that Sony Latin America trailer. Now, alas, that wasn't to be, and we still don't have one, but it's what happened yesterday on the tail end of the Venom trailer and some other tea leaves across the industry that really have nothing to do with the Spider-Man trailer that sort of indicate that a delay may be on the way cinematically for the release of not only Spider-Man No Way Home, but the second Venom installment as well. We're going to break down everything that's happening around the industry, why that points to an imminent delay for this film, and what happened yesterday during Venom's trailer that sort of makes it look like this is happening as well, and it actually has nothing to do with the non-release of the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, which we'll touch on during this video. We're going to break it all down and why it's looking more and more likely like delays are on the way for cinematic releases. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button, we're still giving away a PlayStation 5 now at 900,000 subscribers, as well as Disney Plus subscriptions every week while the shows are live, and we'll be announcing some brand new MCU giveaways next week when What If goes live. If you want to be entered to win, all you have to do, hit that subscribe button, then leave a comment down below, and if you want, stick around to the end of the video. We'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so first up, let's address this trailer real quickly, or the lack of a trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home. If Sony decides to release the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer in, say, the next couple of weeks or by the end of August, it won't be as late as you think. Yes, a little later than normal, but in this post-COVID world where there's so much uncertainty with theatrical releases, they would still be within the normal window to keep this online for a December 17th release date in theaters the way they have it planned. If the trailer should come out, then that's still an option. If we sort of wait into September, rolls around in October, and we still have no sight of the No Way Home trailer, that means that everything else I'm talking about in this video has come into play, and that's restrictions and delays because of COVID, but not exactly. It's got more to do with the box office numbers and what's happened with Black Widow and Jungle Cruise than specifically the delays because of COVID themselves. Then you take yesterday's Venom trailer at the end, where they normally would have had the release date. People noticed it literally just says now exclusively in movie theaters this fall, instead of the very public September 4th release date that they've been advertising for the last 2 or 3 months. A small inkling that Sony is watching and waiting, willing to pull their theatrical releases of Venom and Spider-Man No Way Home if the box office numbers and the landscape don't live up to what they want them to. This is definitely on the table, and that's why I said as we wait into August and September, if we don't see a Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, the rest of this video definitely is coming into play. Now, the box office numbers I'm talking about are twofold. First of all, the first Venom movie did $856.1 million at the box office. That's right, almost $1 billion. Spider-Man Far From Home beat that number by a ton. They did 1.1 billion, and the predecessor to that, Homecoming, did close to Venom 1 numbers, 880 million. So to put it in a nutshell, basically every time they drop one of these Spider-Verse movies, they make $1 billion. As I've said many times here at the channel, but if you're new to the channel, you might not know this, Sony as a Pictures house, basically their film division, is much smaller than most of their counterparts in Hollywood. And what this means is when they put a ton of money into a film, they have to make a ton of money off it. They don't have a ton of other movies to sort of say, hey, this one bombed, we can make it up on the next one. There is no next one like Disney. Then you take what's happened at the box office. Speaking of Disney, the last couple of films for them, number one, Black Widow came out as the first actual test film for that day and date release. That's the co-release on Premiere Access and in theaters, and after that first weekend of promising box office numbers, it absolutely tanked, leading to the lawsuit. Now a lot of people have pointed towards possible piracy. People were able to get an immediate perfect digital copy, but let's be real, piracy has always been around, and cams for these films sometimes leak out the day they come out anyway. It's not just piracy, it's an overall lack in numbers of people willing to go to the theaters following the week of release. Meaning, if you're willing to go to the theater and you wanted to see Black Widow, you went the weekend it came out. When the next weekend rolled around, if you had already seen it, you weren't going to see it twice, and then there wasn't this follow-up group of people who just didn't make it during the first week but are willing to go to theaters. Those numbers sort of dried up. They then saw this again with this most recent release of Jungle Cruise, and you can be sure if we're sort of watching this in the industry, Sony's people are watching this like a hawk. When Jungle Cruise came out, it opened quote-unquote rather strong, but has only brought in about $90 million. And if the same drop-off happens for that film that happened for Black Widow, well, they spent $200 million in production and another, say, $100 million on marketing for Jungle Cruise. They haven't even made a third of that back yet. And you can see where I'm going with this for somewhere like Sony over in their pictures house, where they're pouring hundreds of millions into the production on, say, something like Spider-Man No Way Home, that, say, Far From Home cost $150 million, for instance. Maybe they spent a little more on No Way Home with some extra stars. Hard to say, we don't have a budget for it yet, but say it's $200 million, a hundred less than the Jungle Cruise, which is being extremely generous. If they don't make at least that money back, they don't even break it even. They lose on the film. And I know what you're going to say, yeah, but there's additional releases down the road digitally. There's income from their streaming services. They're also going to sell toys with Spider-Man, and the merch market for Spider-Man movies actually dwarfs the actual box office take. But what this means in the long run is you're not going to have these companies shelling out hundreds of millions of dollars for these kind of films. If it's an absolute crapshoot, they're going to make that money back. It's one thing to have the money certain, but it's another thing entirely not to have that money known if it's coming back and have to ask these people, these executive producers, to put 50, 20, 100 million on the line per, and then no real promise of making it back. We saw this happen one other time in the music industry. When people stopped buying music, you used to be able to guarantee you were going to sell X number of records if you can get it on the radio, etc. That just doesn't happen anymore. And subsequently, you saw a lot less major labels willing to put up the kind of money they used to front a band because they knew the returns aren't there. We're now going to see this happen in cinema, and until either people feel comfortable going to theaters the way they used to, caveat to that, if they ever feel comfortable going to theaters the way they used to, we might not see the sort of box office numbers we ever saw. And with the given the date and day release, the way that Black Widow sort of turned into an absolute catastrophe, getting sued by the lead actor because she felt that her box office take was diminished from that, I said during that video that obviously going forward, they're going to start to make exceptions for this. They're going to put clauses in their contracts that gives Disney and Marvel the unilateral ability to do whatever they want with releases and not get sued in the future by actors. And if where they would have offered a deal where an actor gets a take of the box office as part of their pay, they'll start taking a take of the Premier Access Disney streaming. Either way, this may change cinema for good in the landscape of investments in films and how big these films can actually be. I don't want to go there quite yet. I've talked about it before with the channel, definitely last year. It's not doomsday. We just haven't gotten the Spider-Man trailer yet. But if Sony's looking at this and they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on these films, and they look at something like Venom 1 and say, hey, our benchmark is between 8 and 900 million. And we can't make anything close to that back yet. In fact, if we release Venom this year, we might not even make 200 million. You better believe the powers that be are going to want to wait at least until next year for a better shot of recouping that money than, say, floating it out there and taking a total loss, not only just because they might only break even on the production and marketing, they're looking at the box office compared to what it would have been for the first couple of these films. You can compare Black Widow to the rest of the Marvel slate and say, hey, it performed worse than 90% of these films. It would have made more money in a different market, and it would have made more money without a co-release. You can look at Venom, see that it made almost $1 billion, and if Venom 2 comes out and says only makes 100 or 200 million, you can compare it to that. Jungle Cruise didn't have a predecessor, but something like Spider-Man, and I've said this a million times, and this is my final thought for the video, Spider-Man is some of the most lucrative Marvel IP, not just at Sony, but at Marvel Studios as well. That's why they have a hand in this. This is a big deal for Marvel Studios and Disney, more so than you would think. It's not just like, hey, this is only affecting Sony, this is only affecting their bottom line. This is affecting Disney too, because Spider-Man has serious selling power. And if you float a Spider-Man No Way Home movie out there, especially one like this that's had as much hype, with returning cinematic universes, the possible promise of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, we already know their villains are coming back, Doctor Strange, this happening while the multiverse is breaking, and its tie in the middle of WandaVision, Loki, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. and it doesn't do anywhere near $1 billion, that's not only disaster for Sony, that's disaster for Marvel's brand. Again, I'm going to say it loud and clear, and it is a 100% fact. Spider-Man is some of the most popular and lucrative IP intellectual property, not only at Sony, but in the entire Marvel lineup. The demographics at YouTube here just prove it. Anything Spider-Man has a much higher click rate than other heroes, say stuff like, I don't know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or maybe Shang-Chi. That going forward, Marvel can build their other brands, but Spider-Man will always be Spider-Man. And if Spider-Man can't make $1 billion for Sony and Marvel, that is the ultimate litmus test, a sign that things have changed now in the cinematic release landscape, and until further notice, they might not go back to the way that they were. There was a steady decline in cinematic sales over the years until superhero movies came back and infused film with superhero fandom. There are a lot of us, especially here at the channel, because I've talked to you guys one-on-one, I know you're like me, who don't go to see other movies in theaters other than Marvel movies, and maybe we will, the occasional. I think the last one I saw in theaters was Get Out. There was some hype. I really like Jordan Peele. I wanted to support his first directorial performance, and there are some others along the way, occasional horror movie, but for the most part, there are some of us who only go to see Marvel movies in film and no other cinema. So again, the landscape for cinematic releases may be changing, and you can be assured that if Spider-Man is delayed, whenever it comes out, and it will, next year, next summer, etc., whenever it does, this is going to be watched by everybody, because if it can't make $1 billion, things in the industry have changed a ton. Guys, let me know all your thoughts down below. Do you think we're going to get the trailer in the next couple of weeks? If we get to September saying we don't have one yet, I would definitely count on Sony delaying it. I know that's going to be a super disappointment, but hey, maybe better we didn't get a trailer and then it just sit dead in the water like the Morbius trailer has for so long. Probably for the best. Let me know all your thoughts down below, and quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. We're still giving away a PlayStation 5 now at 900,000 subscribers, as well as Disney Plus subscriptions every week while the shows are live, and announcing some brand new giveaways next week when What If goes live. We'll also start the watch up parties back here at the channel. So if you want to be entered to win, all the same rules will also always apply for future giveaways. Hit the subscribe button because you need to be a subscriber, then leave a comment down below. Because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of videos the same way we're doing here. The best way to keep up with the content at the channel has always been to hit the notification and then turn all notifications on. And of course, if you like today's video, hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me over on Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Amazon, iTunes, wherever you listen to original music under the name Allfires, with some songs of my own. Thanks so much for checking out everything always, guys. I sincerely appreciate it. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.